Alright, time to start doing these GAC 3s because otherwise I'm gonna fall behind like I always do. Meanwhile, my dogs are fighting behind me. So not much has changed since my last video. The only thing that has changed is I had to go get COVID tested. I did a rapid and a PCR. Negative on the rapid, still waiting for the OG PCR to come back. I was out in the field with another member of law enforcement who by 3 days subsequent to us being out in the field together, tested positive for COVID. I don't have any symptoms. The only thing I do have is some chest congestion, which I always get around this time with the change in weather and the amount that I smoke. So I'm not worried about it, but I have to quarantine for 14 days from the initial date of exposure, so I have to quarantine for another week. It is what it is. I can still work from home. It really doesn't change a whole lot. Next week is Thanksgiving week, so it's a short week anyway. I have a furlough day next week. So, whatever. I'm not all that inconvenienced by it. The biggest inconvenience was waiting a fucking hour to get tested. So look, I got tested a couple blocks from my house. I figured I was gonna have to wait online a bit, so I dressed warmly. But waiting an hour outside in the cold for many people is not an option, is a shitty option for most everybody else. And then there's the whole issue of, yeah, sure, you're outside and you're 6 feet apart while you're waiting online, but what if you are not infected and someone that is infected is waiting online? You are in very close proximity to that person, and you may have a proximity exposure without even necessarily realizing it. So I think it's suboptimal, but unfortunately it's the hand we've been dealt at the moment. So it is what it is. I mean, look, Pfizer and Moderna both announced 94-95% efficacy with their respective vaccines, so that's promising. Oxford AstraZeneca's vaccine, apparently, they didn't give a number, I don't think, but they are reporting robust immune responses from their vaccine, so that's good. I don't think the concern was we were never going to get a vaccine or we weren't going to get an effective vaccine. To me, at least, that wasn't ever the question. The questions were when and how long is it going to last for? Because like the flu shots, flu vaccines, you have to get them yearly. So that is likely going to be the case. Rose, stop. That's likely going to be the case for any COVID vaccine. There is some anecdotal evidence. I saw a New York Times article. So, I mean, we'll take it. New York Times generally pretty respectable, unless it's an op-ed. Pretty trustworthy. But I saw a New York Times article that suggested something that we've spoken about before, that while you may not have antibodies in your system anymore, your T cells will still remember the virus and be able to fight it off. We've spoken about this. And they used examples from the old SARS outbreak that was, like 15 years ago or something like that? SARS, of course, being very closely related to the current COVID or novel COVID virus. SARS being the same family. I mean, COVID-19's full name is SARS-CoV-2. It is a SARS virus, SARS standing for something respiratory syndrome. I can't remember. Severe acute respiratory syndrome. I think that's what it is, right? Something like that. I don't remember. But very closely related, cousins, you might even say. And apparently, anecdotally, ooh, is mommy home? Oh, mommy's home. All right, so mommy came home, mommy went to sleep, and Mandy is trying to record this on headphones so as not to wake her up. Let's see how we do. All right, I'm gonna try and not do pillow talk, and I'm gonna try not and scratch or try to not scratch my beard because then that feeds back into the microphone. Um, so separately and unrelated to most of anything else we talk about, um, I am here to plug Maw. Our wait list is more or less settled. We had a bunch of people come in, a lot of personnel turnover, certainly in the second half of the guild, or of the three guilds. So if you are a 7.5 or higher million GP account with no fewer than 50 plus 20 mods, drop me a line either on Discord, YouTube, come hang out, and come join Maw. We recently just added two, well, I'll call them ethnic, no, not even ethnic, language guilds. So we added an MC France and I think an MC España or Deutschland, I can't remember. But so a lot of our guys moved over there because they wanted to be with their people. They are still in the family. But yeah, so our wait list is probably only about two people right now. It's the shortest we've had in quite some time. So I am here to try and re-bolster the wait lists. Listen, if you come in and your account is such that we can't refuse you a spot immediately, then so be it. I have been working in a flex spot for quite some time to get a lot of people in. We had a lot of old TI people either defect or come back to the top, as it were, because a lot of guys retired and went to comparatively casual guilds, and now they're ready to come back to prime time. So we've had no fewer than half a dozen TI former TI guys come in. So between Maw and TI, Alliance Legacy, which is now part of Maw, Wallet Warriors, which is obviously part of Maw, we have a lot of the best that are still actually left in this game because a lot of people have retired. We did have a couple guys retire and or sell their accounts, effectively retiring. So we are looking to re-bolster Maw Kyber especially. Maw Kyber has had, I would say in the last couple of weeks, if not a month, they have improved in terms of both skill and GP, leaps and bounds. And we are looking to continue to bolster all three Maws, really, but certainly put the most effort into our Rhodium and Kyber. Try and get Kyber up there into the top five. So, if you, again, 7.5 million GP or higher with 50 or more plus 20 mods, drop me a line. Alright, enough of the plugging. GAC 3s sucks. Today's Thursday, so I'm looking forward to tomorrow, Friday, Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 4? Episode 4, right? Yeah, I think so. Episode 3 was fucking awesome. So hopefully Episode 4 is as good, or at least close there too. I don't expect it to be better. I do, however, expect the last two episodes of the season to be incredible. In COVID news, Moderna and Pfizer both have vaccines with 94% or higher efficacy, which is extremely promising. Extremely promising. Stock market's been trading sideways all week after a couple of, well, really since the election, it's been on fire, so it's got to take a breather. Breathers are healthy. I like to use breathers in the stock market to rebalance, reposition, I generally keep my cards on the table or my hand in the pot as much as I can, but I definitely use pullbacks to reallocate um, to, well, add more to value areas, assuming that they're viable, or at least the options are viable. But yeah, I think it's going to be status quo for a while. I don't think we're going to get any stimulus this year. I think stimulus is going to wait until next year. So I really think that although the market is extremely high right now, you should probably buy on weakness if you're not already in the market, because next year, when we're getting vaccines, we get stimulus, the hopefully the presidency is settled by then. All of these three things, if not other things, are going to contribute to an absolute tear in the market. The biggest factor, of course, being the vaccine. Once the vaccines start getting widely distributed and people get back to work and people get back to spending, and then we have a stimulus bill to prop up that spending, it is going to be balls to the wall. You are going to see in sectors that we haven't seen since really the beginning of the year, you are going to see pent up demand, leisure, travel. I mean, look, consumer staples are probably not going to go a whole lot higher. I still think tech has room to run because a lot of companies just aren't spending the money that they might otherwise because there's no need to. So I just think that there's going to be a lot of pent up demand for a lot of different things. And yeah, I really think that um, by the end of first quarter 2021 or beginning of second quarter 2021, things are really, really going to snap back closer to where they were pre COVID. And I think you have to be long in this stock market. I think because the market is going to do better than the economy, uh, the way fiscal and monetary policy is set up. The market has already outperformed the economy by a factor of 10 at least, and I think it will continue to do so until and unless monetary and fiscal policies start to tighten, and I really don't see that happening until at the earliest this time next year. So if you're thinking about investing, although the market is very, very high right now, I think that you will miss out if you don't get in at some point based on the promise of 2021.